My future is so dark. I probably don't really need these shades now, do I? Bryan Singer returns to the X-Men franchise after leaving it to the ravages of Brett Ratner and whoever the hell directed Wolverine Origins. Singer's mission? To somehow retroactively correct all of the inconsistencies and bad characterizations that happened after his absence, while also including the Singer produced and Matthew Vaughn directed X-Men First Class into canon. It makes some sense then that Bryan Singer makes some use of Chris Claremont and John Byrne's classic two-story arc from 1981 of Uncanny X-Men, Days of Future Past. So you might be thinking to yourself, wait a minute, this story only took place in 2 issues of comics? It looks like it's massive in scale, spanning generations. You'd be surprised to find that even though the premise of this tale is large in scope, it actually revolves around the decisions and choices of a few key players. And so the movie's narrative actually smartly focuses on that. Despite some very big set pieces and action sequences that feel large, ultimately, this is a small story. Ellen Page returns as Kitty Pryde. You've got that guy playing Bobby Drake, who actually uses the ice sled now. Finally. Nick Holt returns as Beast. You've got some other mutants in the mix that you would never expect to see, like Blink and Bishop and Warpath and Sunspot. All these characters are there, but they play very supporting roles. Hell, Halle Berry does show up as Storm, but most of the time she stands around looking ominous and maybe has about 2 lines of dialogue. Colossus is there, but damn it, Singer, I'm glad you gave him a couple more action sequences here, but really you gave that character the short shrift. He should be on the main team. But we gotta let bygones be bygones. At least he's here. This movie really revolves around 4 major key players, and that would be the old and young versions of Professor Charles Xavier and Eric Landshear Magneto, Wolverine, and Raven, aka Mystique. So we begin in a really bad future, a post-apocalyptic, dystopic kind of future where mutants are on the brink of extinction, and it ain't looking too good for man either. This is all due to a war that was spearheaded since the 70s by one Bolivar Trask, played here by Tyrion Lannister, Peter Dinklage. Bolivar Trask is a brilliant man that is concerned for the safety of the planet. He sees these mutants as an imminent threat. This war actually begins because of something Jennifer Lawrence had done in the... Mystique had done in the past. So somebody needs to convince Charles to get off his ass and do something about this. But unfortunately, Charles, the younger Charles, played by James McAvoy, he's kind of in a bad way. Now, somewhere along the line, Kitty Pryde, who in the original story was the main protagonist who was sent back in time to correct things, had acquired the mutant ability to send somebody's consciousness back in time to their former younger selves. Unfortunately, it's impossible to send the average person back a few decades because apparently it tears them apart physically. So the person doing this would have to have some sort of crazy mutant healing factor. I wonder who that might be. So there you have it, another job for Wolverine. Played once again by Hugh Jackman, who is really huge jacked, man. So, with the threat of highly adaptable new forms of Sentinels looming over them, Kitty manages to send Wolverine back in time, and you have yourselves a movie. Now, I have to admit, I've had issues with Bryan Singer's version of the X-Men. While decent, while serviceable, I always felt it was a little bit lacking, but I did get used to it, and of course X-Men United, the second movie, was the closest thing to what the X-Men should be, and I do have to kind of give him props for that. But in this movie, he does some interesting new things. While we get tons of great, incredibly creative and well-crafted action sequences that get the adrenaline pumping, the main motivations behind this movie are what carries the viewer through it. There is one character that we all thought was going to be absolute garbage when we saw him in his little silver jacket, and of course I'm talking about Fox's version of Quicksilver. Now, Quicksilver isn't in this very much, but when he is, he's used to great effect. It's James McAvoy and Michael Fassbender, however, that really steal the show in this movie. Their performances are great. Hugh Jackman, of course, fulfills his role as the Muscle, but he stands aside as these two old friends and adversaries try to figure out a way to deal with this situation. Jennifer Lawrence's Mystique provides another crucial and emotional layer to the story, and of course, really, it's a story that revolves between those three people and the relationships they had before and how those relationships have evolved. So, diagnosis? This movie was really friggin' solid. I'm gonna give this bad boy a 4 out of 5. There are a few issues that I had with it. I feel like Bolivar Trask's story arc didn't really come around full circle or feel as satisfying as it should have, seeing as he was essentially the main villain. But really, the main villains in this movie were the X-Men themselves and what they did to themselves and their species by setting these events into motion. So they're really, it's a very gray spectrum. There is no real good or evil, and we've seen this before in other X-Men movies, and certainly it's a theme that's been in X-Men comics since their conception. Go see this movie and check it out if you're a comic book fan, and even if you're a little bit leery about Singer stuff, you're going to have a good time and really appreciate the care that went into this movie to make it something special. I was taken aback and I was pleasantly surprised. So this is Doc Flux, and that has been my review of X-Men Days of Future Past. And I bid you adieu, and please, have a great future.